Day 4 is about Windows administration. I am not treating it like a flashcard topic. I am treating it like a real cybersecurity decision. The reason is simple: this kind of concept only matters when someone has to use it during triage, hardening, detection tuning, architecture review, or risk reporting. If the idea cannot survive that handoff, the learning is still shallow and forgettable. The pressure points today are user management, group policy intro, Windows Defender. Those are the places where misunderstandings actually hurt teams. A weak grasp of one of those areas leads to bad assumptions, noisy detections, poor control design, or confused incident response. That is why I want each section of the day tied to concrete evidence and a concrete next action. That practical link is the whole point here, especially when the topic later appears in a ticket, alert, audit, or architecture discussion. The operational problem underneath the topic is turning frameworks, architecture, and risk language into decisions an engineering and security team can actually operate. That means I want more than a neat definition. I want to know what boundary is being discussed, what artifact proves the point, and how the conclusion changes the next decision. That is the difference between being familiar with a topic and being able to use it in the field. When I work through this topic, the artifacts I care about are risk registers, control mappings, architecture notes, board-ready metrics, treatment plans, and decision records. Those are the receipts. They tell me whether the explanation still holds when an engineer, analyst, or manager asks for proof. If the artifacts are missing, I do not trust the conclusion, because real incidents and audits never give you extra time to rebuild the evidence chain from memory. The evidence has to survive a handoff. Another thing I watch for is category confusion. Teams often blur where host evidence ends and network evidence begins, or where a governance decision should be separated from a technical control, or where an offensive finding should hand off to a remediation plan. A mature workflow makes those transitions visible instead of hoping everyone already knows them. The good version of this day ends with governance and architecture work that names ownership, treatment choices, and how progress will be reported. Notice that the outcome is not a tool name. It is a behavior. The person reading the write-up should know what to verify, what to escalate, and what to tune or fix next. This part of the track matters because security programs fail when leaders cannot connect technical risk to ownership and action. That clarity matters in every role today, everywhere. The common failure mode is optimism. Someone reads about a topic, understands the headline, and then assumes the details will be obvious when they need them. They usually are not. Authentication details, event IDs, IAM scope, firewall logic, malware artifacts, or risk treatment language all get fuzzy unless you make the evidence explicit while you are studying them. That is why I keep insisting on one example command, one example artifact, and one example decision path for every lesson, even when the topic feels conceptual on the surface. So if you are learning alongside this track, keep asking 4 questions. What is the boundary? What proves the point? What would break first? Who owns the next action? Those questions force the lesson back toward risk registers, control mappings, architecture notes, board-ready metrics, treatment plans, and decision records and away from vague comfort. They also make the track cumulative, because every later month depends on the earlier months being operationally clear and useful. That is the real value of Windows administration. It is not that you can repeat the concept. It is that you can explain the evidence, the risk, the control, and the decision in one coherent story. Once that alignment exists, cybersecurity work stops feeling like disconnected domains and starts feeling like one discipline with different data sources and different constraints. It also becomes easier to hand work across roles, because the systems engineer, the SOC analyst, the incident responder, and the risk lead can all see the same boundary and discuss it with the same facts on the table. That shared picture reduces mistakes.